welcome to Medical Dialogues, your daily dose of health and medical news. As we all know, today is World Health Day. It is celebrated annually and each year draws attention to a specific health topic of concern to people all over the world. The date of 7th April marks the anniversary of the founding of WHO in 1948. And as we all know, this year's theme is Our Planet, Our Health. In the midst of the pandemic, a polluted planet, increasing diseases like cancer, asthma, heart disease, on World Health Day 2022, WHO will focus global attention on urgent actions needed to keep humans and the planet healthy and foster a movement to create societies focused on well-being. WHO estimates that more than 13 million deaths around the world each year are due to avoidable environmental causes. This includes the climate crisis, which is the single biggest health threat facing humanity. And the climate crisis is also a health crisis. So to put some light on this issue, today we have with us Dr. Srinivas Ramaka, cardiologist at Srinivas Heart Center and chairman and managing trustee of Srinivas Heart Foundation.
Good morning, everyone. In this next edition of the ART Initiative, Awareness, Research, Teaching and Training Initiative, which Srinivasa Heart Foundation and Srinivasa Heart Center has started last year. Today, being the World Health Day, April 7, 2022, the topic for discussion is Our Planet, Our Health. Every year, the World Health Organization observes April 7 as World Heart Health Day. There is a theme for every year. The theme for 2022 is Our Planet, Our Health. In this context, I would like to inform that from the references in the American College of Cardiology, Journal of the American College of Cardiology, I am sharing some references and material related to pollution and cardiovascular disease. Because considering the theme of the World Health Organization on this World Health Day, Our Planet, Our Health, it is a pollution throughout the world which is leading to health problems in general and cardiovascular disease in particular. The message of the World Health Day is to create societies focused on health, not only of the individual, but also the societal health. The World Health Organization estimates that more than 13 million deaths around the world occur each year due to avoidable environmental. 90% of people breathe unhealthy air resulting from the burning of fossil fuels. We have mosquitoes spreading diseases throughout the world. Extreme weather events, land degradation, water scarcity displace people and affect their health. Pollution and plastics occupy the oceans, mountains, and also the food chain, and thereby causing ill health. Systems that produce highly processed, unhealthy foods and beverages are driving a wave of obesity, causing cancer and heart disease, and thereby generating a third of global greenhouse emissions. The Lancet Commission developed a framework, what is called as the pollutome, a subset of the exposome defined as a totality of all influences of pollution on human health, including exposures across the lifespan. 9 million total deaths are directly attributable to environmental pollution. 4.2 million due to ambient air pollution, and that's outside air pollution, and 2.9 billion due to household air pollution, what is called the HAP. It is told from the recent research that both noise and air pollution together represent the two most important environmental risk factors in urbanized societies in particular. Earlier, we had conventional risk factors like diabetes, hypertension, tobacco, family history, hyperlipidemia, leading to cardiovascular disease in particular and health problems in general. But of late, the latest research points to the involvement of noise and air pollution, which together interact with the other conventional risk factors, thereby leading to health problems in general and cardiovascular disease in particular. While the independent effects of these risk factors have now been clearly shown, recent studies also suggest that the two exposures, that is exposure to noise and air pollution, interact with each other and with traditional risk factors such as diabetes and hypertension. From a societal and a policy perspective, the health effects of both air pollution and traffic noise as observed for exposures well below the thresholds currently recommended by the World Health Organization. According to the Environmental Burden of Disease in European countries project report, particulate matter, air pollution, together with noise pollution, contribute to 75% of disease attributable to environmental factors. 17 cities in Asia rank among 30 cities in terms of premature cardiovascular mortality and account for 7% of the global burden of disease attributable to outdoor air pollution alone. So, household air pollution and ambient outdoor air pollution are the third and ninth leading risk factors contributing to global mortality and disability, accounting for 6.6 million deaths and 7.6% of global dailies, of which 3.5% is from outdoor air pollution. 80% of the world's population live in areas in which particulate matter reaches or is above thresholds recommended by the World Health Organization. What is particulate matter and other uh, uh, things leading to air pollution? We will, and what are the consequences of air pollution? We'll consider next. So, 9 out of 10 people worldwide breathe polluted air, which disproportionately affects those living in low resource settings. Air pollution is a major contributor to the global burden of disease, with an estimated 9% of all deaths in 2017 attributable to both outdoor and household or indoor air pollution. Air pollution kills 13 people every minute due to lung cancer, heart disease, and strokes, basically because of the burning fossil fuels like oil, coal, and natural gas. These are some of the images which we have taken from the WHO website, and it is told that all these things from traffic, power plants, industry, or agriculture, they aggravate respiratory problems, particularly asthma, and hence a well-planned public transport along with safe walking and cycling can improve air quality, mitigate climate change, and improve physical activity. So, as told earlier, the global burden of disease found that 9 million deaths worldwide are due to pollution, and of which 5 million were due to cardiovascular disease. That means 9 or 5 million deaths due to pollution are leading to cardiovascular disease. So, air pollution is the fourth leading cause of death and disease worldwide. So, basically, this ambient or outdoor air pollution is a mixture of particulate matter, particularly categorized with particle size and gases. The particle size is 2 to 2.5, less than 2.5, between 2.5 to 10, and 10 above 10 micrometers. So this, apart from the particles, they also contain gases such as the outdoor air pollution is comprised of particles, particulate matter, as well as gases like nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, and ozone. These particles and gases, they arise from fossil fuel combustion from stationary sources such as power plants and mobile sources such as trucks, cars, and ships. Low income countries, basically indoor pollution or household pollution is because of the combustion of biomass fuel such as wood and charcoal. In high income countries, it is basically because of natural gas combustion, fireplace residue, aerosols, and volatile cleaning products as the primary culprits. So, the effect of these factors having on cardiovascular health is amplified in poorly ventilated homes and spaces typical of low income housing, disproportionately affects women and children worldwide. In most countries affected by pollution, pollution related disease is responsible for 1 in every 4 deaths, and nearly 92% of pollution related deaths occur in low to middle income countries. So, globally, 30% of cardiovascular disease deaths are attributable to air pollution, which accounts for nearly 3 million deaths every year. And fine particulate matter, fine particulate air pollution, that means these particles are less than 2.5 micrometers in diameter. What is called the PM 2.5 is a risk factor for global morbidity and mortality. And remember, there is no safe level of particulate matter 2.5. So, evidence of this for impacts on cardiovascular disease is most consistent with particulate matter. This is basically the outdoor pollution. We have 3. One is particulate matter, ozone, and nitrogen dioxide, of which the particulate matter is the one which is consistent with causing cardiovascular disease more than ozone and nitrogen dioxide. This particulate matter impacts on ischemic heart disease and stroke, also lung cancer, COPD, lung infections, diabetes, and pregnancy outcomes and related infant mortality. The second One in the outdoor one, that is ozone, is associated with primarily respiratory disease. Nitrogen dioxide is an indicator of traffic-related air pollution, and chronic exposure to nitrogen dioxide is associated with again respiratory problems, particularly in childhood, whereas short-term is associated with exacerbation of asthma and increased mortality counts. So there are three things in this. One is a particulate matter, 2.5. The second one is ozone. The other one is nitrogen dioxide. Ozone and nitrogen dioxide primarily lead to respiratory problems, whereas the particulate matter, 2.5, is the one which is consistently associated with cardiovascular disease. Short-term elevations in particulate matter 2.5 increase the relative risk of acute cardiovascular events by 1% to 3% within a few days. Longer exposures are attributable to the development of cardiometabolic conditions like diabetes and hypertension. This particulate matter fraction of air pollution is broadly categorized by the aerodynamic diameter, that is less than 10 micrometers, PM10, less than 2.5 micrometers, fine particles, PM2.5, which is, as I told you, attributable to CVD most commonly, and between 2.5 to 10 millimeters is the coarse particulate matter between 2.5 to 10 micrometers. Less than 10, between 2.5 to 10, less than 2.5, and between 2.5 to 10. So just to give an idea of the size of these particles, the average human hair is 70 micrometers in diameter. So you can imagine the particulate matter in relation to the human hair. Particulate matter is quantified by the particles mass contained per cubic meter. Natural dust contributes to 18% of total premature mortality attributable to air pollution. 90% of the global population is exposed to levels exceeding the WHO's air quality guidelines of less than 10 micrograms per cubic meter for annual levels and less than 20 micrograms for the cubic meter for daily levels, less than 10 and less than 20. Again, particulate air pollution, that is 2.5 PM, apart from cardiovascular disease, is also associated with carotid artery stenosis, a risk factor for cerebrovascular disease and stroke. 40% of outdoor air pollution related deaths are attributable to IHD, and again another 40% to stroke. Whereas the indoor pollution caused deaths, 34% are from stroke and 26% are from ischemic heart disease. Whereas in comparison, the lung cancer accounted for only 6% of deaths. So it is a cardiovascular disease which is predominantly because of air pollution. A national cohort study in England found an association between long-term exposure to particulate matter and nitrogen dioxide and increased incidence of heart failure. A systematic review and meta-analysis of current data demonstrated a positive association between short-term increase in gaseous components and particulate matter with the risk of hospitalization and death from congestive failure. So what are the effects of particulate matter inhalation? This initiates a number of different mechanisms leading to development of CVD risk factors like diabetes and hypertension. Ambient particulate matter 2.5 has been definitely linked to hypertension and diabetes as a late stage event due to chronic pollution induced oxidative stress and inflammation. Particulate matter inhalation can cause endocrine disruption and persistent inflammation, which, if prolonged, may contribute to insulin resistance. Short-term exposure is known to cause hypertension as well as redox-mediated alterations in vascular and autonomic tone. So within a few days of exposure to particulate matter, the increase of the risk of cardiovascular events increases by 1 to 3%. And long-term exposure may be associated with subclinical cardiovascular disease such as LVH, increased carotid artery intima media thickness, calcification of coronary and abdominal aorta, and promotes an increased risk of myocardial infarction, cerebrovascular accidents. So these are the mechanisms how a particulate matter and air pollution can lead to cardiovascular disease. The oxidative stress, biologic intermediates, autoimmune imbalance, autonomic imbalance, endothelial dysfunction, and systemic inflammation and thrombotic pathways, thereby leading to vasoconstriction, decreased vasodilation, proliferation, increased inflammation, smooth muscle proliferation, low-grade inflammation, and leading to cardiometabolic diseases like diabetes and hypertension, and thereby contributing to cardiovascular disease. Exposure to air pollution, particularly the combustion related particulate matter and co-pollutants, contribute to overall cardiovascular mortality. So the risk of association in short term translates to a 1% elevation in cardiovascular mortality with 10 micrograms per cubic meter of particulate matter. Now, the WHO has given the interim targets to reduce mortality and morbidity due to air pollution. Now, the interim target, the annual mean particulate matter concentration, 2.5 PM 2.5 concentration of 35 micrograms per cubic meter is associated with 15% increased mortality. Though the WHO has given this 24-hour particulate matter standard of 25 micrograms per cubic meter, many major cities around the globe have peak daily levels that exceed this value as per the latest statistics. So the 24-hour one is 25 micrograms per cubic meter. The annual mean particulate matter concentration should be 35 micrograms per cubic meter. So 25 and 35. Now let us see what is the data throughout the world as far as in Manhattan it is 41. Yeah. 25 and 35 slightly nearer to the better. Los Angeles it is 106. San Francisco is 197. And Beijing, the worst air quality index 251. And New Delhi is a staggering 900 micrograms per cubic meter. So despite global and national air quality guidelines, there is no safe lower limit to particulate matter 2.5 concentrations with increase in ischemic heart disease and stroke, with even the smallest increases in particulate matter 2.5 concentrations leading to cardiovascular disease. So there is no safe level of particulate matter 2.5. The 24-hour one should be 25 micrograms per cubic meter, whereas the annual one as recommended by the WHO interim target is 35 micrograms per cubic meter. Whereas we have seen that in our country, Delhi, the city, is reaching 900 micrograms per cubic meter. So, the advocating for air pollution mitigation and health measure, there is a need for further research on air quality and its impact on CVD. There need to be interventions throughout the world to reduce air pollution and its effect on NCDs. Particularly, we have the laws elsewhere in the world, but as far as I know, except the tobacco-related laws, the National Tobacco Control Program, the other things related to tobacco, as for the air pollution, I'm not aware of laws related to air pollution. So, there need to be a proactive approach from the government, from the lawmakers, policymakers, the health department person to mitigate, reduce air pollution, and thereby see that the ill effects of air pollution are decreased. There need to be personal measures to reduce exposure to air pollution, such as room air filtration systems. Management approach to air quality indices need to be monitored, and development of guidelines on air pollution and CVD, and the ministries of environment, energy, and transportation should take a proactive part in this, and there needs to be education and awareness on cardiovascular benefits of clean air. So there needs to be a collaboration with senior decision makers in national, regional, and global governmental institutions to make air pollution-related heart disease a priority. Now, the second aspect is noise. Noise is associated with annoyance, stress, sleep disturbance, and impaired cognitive performance. Environmental noise is associated with an increased incidence of arterial hypertension, myocardial infarction, heart failure, and stroke. What is important is the nighttime noise particularly increases the levels of stress hormones and vascular oxidative stress, leading to endothelial dysfunction and hypertension. It is found that particularly aircraft noise is associated with oxidative stress-induced vascular damage mediated by activation of the NADPH oxidase, uncoupling of endothelial nitric oxide synthase, and vascular infiltration with inflammatory cells. Present evidence further strengthens the concept that transportation noise, either because of road, rail, or aircraft per se, contributes to the development of cardiovascular risk of CAD, hypertension, stroke, and heart failure. As I told you, noise is associated with oxidative stress, vascular dysfunction, autonomic imbalance, metabolic abnormalities, potentiating not only the adverse impact of cardiovascular risk factors such as arterial hypertension and diabetes, but also lead to progression of atherosclerosis and increase susceptibility to cardiovascular events. So, traffic noise, particularly contributed by road, aircraft, and railway noise, are associated with cardiovascular disease. Chronic exposure to road traffic or railway or aircraft noise is associated with arterial hypertension and increased use of antihypertensives. Multiple studies suggest link between noise and propensity to IHD. Lower levels of noise disturb sleep, communication, and activities with subsequent emotional and cognitive responses and annoyance. So, a chronic stress reaction is proposed to ultimately lead to pathophysiological alterations in the intermediate chronic time frame, which may result in manifest adverse health effects. Nighttime aircraft noise is associated with what is called as a stress cardiomyopathy, Takotsubo syndrome. This is caused by endothelial dysfunction, involvement of the autonomic nervous system. In the HINA study, like hypertension and exposure to noise near airports, it is found that noise is leading to hypertension. Nighttime aircraft noise is related to hypertension. This is because nighttime noise interferes with the blood pressure dipping and increases cardiovascular risk. Nighttime noise-induced sleep deprivation, noise-induced endothelial dysfunction is because of noise. In one of the very interesting studies presented in the American College of Cardiology annual sessions 2022, the importance of basically the how noise pollution is tied to greater risk of heart attack. In this, the presenter, Dr. Moreira, he analyzed heart attack rates among 16,000 New Jersey residents hospitalized for a heart attack in 2018 using data from the database. In this, 1 in 20 heart attacks in New Jersey were due to noise from highways, trains, and air traffic. Significant 6% significant increase in risk for every 10 decibels increase in traffic noise, starting as low as 50 decibels. So, for every 10 decibels increase in traffic noise, from above 50 decibels, 50 decibels is the average, that is the accepted level. So, above 50, any 10 decibels increase will lead to 6% increase in cardiovascular disease risk and 14% risk of incident stroke for every 10 decibel increase in road traffic noise from a study from 2011. So, noise is related to increased stroke mortality. Traffic noise increase also results in atrial fibrillation and heart failure. The most comprehensively studied risk factor for cardiovascular disease in a noise context is hypertension. That means excessive noise, increased noise above the accepted level is correlated with onset of hypertension. So, these are some of the mechanisms of causation of cardiovascular disease because of noise, excess noise, annoyance, cognitive and emotional responses. There is a particularly the autonomic nervous system is involved. There is an endothelial dysfunction, and thereby leading to it may lead is associated with coronary artery disease, hypertension, stroke, heart failure, and thereby leading to cardiometabolic disease. These are some of the accepted levels. So, 0 is the threshold of hearing. 10 decibels is rustling of leaves. 20 decibels is ticking of a watch. 30 decibels is a whisper. 40 decibels is a voice in a quiet living room. 50 decibels is because of rain. The conversational one is 60 decibels. And anything above that is an unhealthy one, like a passenger car, 80 decibels of telephone ringing, 90 decibels of truck noise, and rock band. Now you can imagine the sound in the regular traffic in our country, the regular sounds in the pubs, what is reported in the media, and leading to. So, there need to be a lot of research, and it's worth trying and of interest to do research on the onset of cardiovascular disease among those who are exposed to excess traffic noise, aircraft noise, rail noise, and also those who frequent the excess noise decibels in the pubs and other hotels. So ultimately, the healthy lifestyles, particularly one of the important aspects as per WHO is quit smoking. The other aspects of the our planet, our health is most of the people in the world, 3.6 billion, do not have safe toilets. Transportation, we need to use public transport with less noise and using the bikes, so that reducing the usage of the automobile. Changes to a renewable energy provider. Nutrition, proper nutrition, avoiding highly processed foods. Again, the reduction usage of plastics, using recyclable grocery bags. Ultimately, we have to share what we do for a healthier tomorrow. We do not have proper access to safe drinking water. Nearly 2 billion people do not have access to safe drinking water. Many people die from diarrheal illness due to polluted water and poor sanitation. Tobacco ill health is well known, and ultimately we have to take action and inspire others for a healthier tomorrow. So, during the last half an hour and about 40 minutes or so, I have considered the World Health Day theme of Our Planet, Our Health, particularly in relation to the pollution and relation to cardiovascular disease, particularly how air pollution and traffic noise pollution contribute to cardiovascular disease in particular, and other ill health aspects in general. And ultimately, apart from the conventional risk factors, there need to be an effort to reduce pollution in general, and particularly the air pollution and noise pollution. Thank you so much.
That's all from the health world today. Thank you. Stay safe.
Never miss a medical update from Medical Dialogues. Like, subscribe, and press the bell icon.